awesome. I like the what do you call that? Like the blurred background. It looks cool.
Yes, it's called Blur. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's not that clever of a name, I guess. But yeah, it looks cool. For people who can't see, who are listening on audio, it got to describe the setting here. It's like, yeah, you got the cool blurred background. I think
It's
that's
called My Room is Messy, and
oh,
we're going for the blur effect.
that's awesome. Yeah, I remember I interviewed Alice Cooper's daughter, Calico, and she was in her like closet. It was so funny. There was like clothes all over. It's like, this is where I do podcasts. I was like, okay, this is cool. It's fun. Yeah.
Probably good sound dampening in there. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, I prefer that. I would rather have the good sound and a little mess or whatever than like people they'll go outside and there'll be wind or
Mhm.
they'll be in an echoey bathroom and yeah, it's like
I've
I don't
got
know.
like seven dogs next door barking their heads off.
Oh, the
Yeah,
dogs. That's annoying. And that's really hard. You can't control that. I mean, a dog,
right.
you know, like you don't want to, and you don't want to see them like yell at the dog. And if you're an animal lover, it's like, even if they're doing it properly, you're supposed to scold dogs, I guess, a little bit, but yeah.
Right. Nobody around here does. They just let them go. It's great.
Where are you? Are you in Springfield now?
I'm in Rogersville, Missouri. So it's just a little town east of Springfield that is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. So you like living in the country.
I do. Yeah. It's like 15 minutes removed from the city. So I'm close enough where I can get where I need to go and also have nice peace and quiet, at the same time.
That's perfect. So is Springfield, that's like the big city. I mean, like a band would
Yeah.
come there and stuff and tour.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they call it the Queen City of the Ozarks, but there's like Kansas City, St. Louis are the big Missouri cities, and then Southwest Springfield is the big city. So
Okay. So that's near like Ozark. Like, do you ever watch that show, Ozark? That show's crazy.
I never watched it because I live it, dude. Like there is a trailer park just like a couple streets down from me that was getting busted for meth every weekend. I mean, it's like, dude, this is my life. I don't need to watch it.
So what you're
I've
saying
already,
is the stereotypes are true, that it's,
I assume so. Again, I never watched it, so
yeah,
I can't totally confirm. But yeah, um, there's some pretty crazy stuff going on out here.
I bet. Do you watch a lot of Netflix and stuff when you're touring? Because I'm assuming there's a lot of downtime when you're touring and on the boat. Like that's to me, I always think that like back in the 80s, I think that's why they did so many drugs because they're like, God, I'm so bored. I'm just gonna do drugs. But now it's like you can, watch Netflix and so then you can do so many things on your phone and laptop while you're touring, right?
It's true. Yeah, I've been watching Breaking Bad recently, which is funny that you
I just
mentioned that.
rewatched the entire series.
Dude, I'm watching it for the first time. I'm like
Oh,
halfway through the fourth season. And yeah, it's great. It's everything that everybody has hyped it up to be. I just took a long time to get on that wagon.
that's so funny that yeah, we literally just rewatched that and now we're rewatching Better Call Saul. Have you seen that one yet?
No, I haven't watched that yet, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have to jump on that train too.
Yeah, so that's the spin-off. It's like the prequel of I don't know if you've gotten to the seasons with if you're season 4, you probably have Saul Goodman is the lawyers and
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So, yeah, those shows are so I mean, I think I've rewatched Breaking Bad maybe 5 or 6 times all the way through and every time it's just like you get addicted to it even if you've seen it. You're like, I got to see the next one. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, it's very addicting. I have to like limit myself to like 3 episodes a day. I feel like that's a good amount. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Start zoning
Right.
out. Like, I don't know what reality is.
Yeah, I mean it is those distractions. That's I guess that's the downside of having all this technology is all the distractions because I think we talked before just about how much work you have to do for your bands. Like you're kind of like the manager, right? I mean you're doing everything.
Yeah, I do a lot of it. Luckily, in the last few months, I have not had to do so much in the booking area. We have had
Mm.
a lot of help, like in going on tour with Tantric and Scotty Austin and Lynch Mob. Like a lot of these shows have been taken care of by the agents. So I have to say, I've been able to breathe a little bit more in that department.
Oh,
But
that's so nice. Yeah, so they just
yeah,
it's like their tour and they just say, "Do you want this slot or whatever?" and they've kind of
yes.
already got it set up.
Does this date work for you? Yes. Check. Add it. Oh, it's amazing. Feels
Yeah.
so good.
That's awesome. So yeah, it's Scotty Austin from who was the former frontman from Saving Abel and
Yes.
Tantric, and then I think that goes up until November, and then it shifts, and then it's Scotty Austin and 7 Year Witch, which I think I've had those guys on the podcast a while ago. They're really great band too.
Oh yeah, they were awesome. We played with them in Georgia last weekend. It was my first time seeing them, and they put on just like a wild show. It's so much fun to watch, but then the music is great, super groovy stuff. I mean, I loved it. I'm excited to do
Yeah.
more shows with them.
Yeah, I wish that they were on that shit because you're coming here to Arizona on November 10th, I believe. But I think that is
Yes.
with not with 7 Year. I wish it was all four bands. There's none of that you're doing that with four of them, right? It's just it
Yeah,
switches.
the November 10th will be Tantric, Scotty Austin, us, and then a local band called Tricus, which we played
Oh,
with them last time we were at the 44. I think it was about a year ago, something like
mm,
that. Um,
okay.
or wait, was it last summer? Dude, I don't know. My perception of time is so askew.
I think
Uh,
last time too, you told me you were gonna go to Winslow, Arizona, which right? Did you do that
oh, right, stand on a corner.
in Winslow, Arizona? Yeah,
I feel like probably. I don't
yeah.
know.
Does it start to blur
Weird.
together, all the cities and everything? Just
It kind of does sometimes, but we really like to sightsee and like if we have time, like whenever we went to Roswell, we went to the Alien Museum,
oh
like
yeah,
when we were in Albany, Georgia, we like stopped by the little Ray Charles statue in the park, which was pretty cool. Like the sidewalks were all piano like keys. Anyway, so a
no,
lot
that's cool.
of
I
it I
love
do
that kind of stuff.
remember. When we're just driving through it, not so much. But
Yeah. So you guys do when you tour the way you tour, I'm assuming you have a tour bus then or
we do van and trailer.
okay.
Not so bougie, but good for gas mileage
Yeah.
sometimes.
I mean it's still economical to and because it's just so hard to tour, I feel like now with I mean you have to like figure all that stuff out that you're going to make enough so that it makes sense to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Factor in the gas, hotels, food, you know, got to survive at the same time. So,
Yeah. Because I know like Warrant and stuff, a lot of those bands, they'll just do like a fly-in date, especially like Casino. I feel like those are. I just saw Brett Michaels at the casino here, and I mean those. I think those are good gigs for musicians. I think they pay well, and they always have a nice green room and stuff.
oh yeah, casinos, they're the best about taking care of their artists. It's always like five-star accommodations, like great green room. They'll normally hook you up with like the buffet or something, which is like, for a musician, unlimited food.
Right. And then the
But
thing I like about casino shows too is like, like if you're just going to see the band that you're going to see, sometimes you go to these bars and there's like 17 local opening bands because they don't want you to leave because they make all their money from the alcohol, right? But then the casino, they're like, we want people to come for the show and then get out and get back in the casino. So it's always like there's usually no opening band and it's like, get in, do the shows, get out, like get back to the casino and gamble.
yes, that is totally. And it's so weird compared to club shows, like you're saying. Because, like, as soon as it's over, it's like everybody out. We're done. No one in a theater. We played with Warrant and Lita Ford in Vegas this summer, and that was the same deal. Just like get in, get out. But it was amazing. Again, like 10 stars the way that they treated us. So much fun. And we got to play in like Elvis's theater. The staff gave us a little tour of all the cool spots backstage.
Wow,
I
that
don't know
was
what
fun.
happened, but all of a sudden you froze and then it kicked me out, but I'm
Yeah,
back.
I just checked. I was like, was it my internet? I think my internet is good, so it's your
I
problem.
don't know. Mine still has full bars
Oh,
too. So
shit. Maybe
it's
it's Zoom.
probably me though. I'm the one living out in the country. So
Oh, I don't know. Well, whatever. Hopefully it doesn't do it again. But yeah, so now you were saying that that's so cool you played in Vegas with Warren. I should have drove up for that because I'm only 5 hours away. But I didn't know Warren was like playing in Cottonwood, Arizona like this past weekend. I didn't even know. So I should pay attention better. That sounds like a fun show though.
oh yeah, it's awesome. And Warrant, like they're so freaking good. They kill it every night. It's a fun show. And I'm sure, like the nostalgia factor is probably way more for other people than me. But like it's still just awesome to see like a bunch of guys. And it's like pretty much all original members except for Janie. Um,
Hmm.
but Robert Mason kills it every single night on the vocals, and like they're just tight. They have that camaraderie, you know. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I love it. One of my favorite bands. I've had Eric and Joey on the show. I'd still love to get Jerry and Steven just to. I just want every member just to tell because there's so many different stories and stuff to tell. But yeah, every time I see them, they're great. Yeah, and Robert Mason, amazing singer, and I love him in Lynch Mob too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's
I just had Oni Logan on the show. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, but he's a really nice guy too.
Oh wow, I've only met Oni once. I got to run into him on the Monsters of Rock cruise a few years ago. That was really cool.
Yeah. So you're doing this, talk about this project that you have with George Lynch. You've got the full album. I think two songs are out now. It's called Cassandra's Crossing. And you
Yeah,
said this is the favorite thing, your most favorite thing you've ever written, this album.
honestly, yeah, I think so. This is probably my favorite writing, or maybe my most accomplished that I've ever done. George like laid down such an amazing foundation. Like whenever I got the songs, it was just like all of his final guitar tracks with a very basic drum loop. So like, I mean, just basic bones of songs. But anyway, I got to like write all these lyrics, and I got to write all these melodies, and I felt like it really pushed me to be a better, you know, songwriter and a better creator. So some of it was a little scary. It was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to sing over this. Like, what am I going to do? But I would just like listen to it while I was at the gym on repeat and just kind of like sing along. And every once in a while, melodies or lyrics would just pop out at me. And anyway, I ended up creating, yeah, some of my favorite music I've ever done.
So a lot of times it does just come to you because I just had this guy. I don't know if you ever watched like Celebrity Rehab, but Bob Forrest. He was a musician too, but then he's like a drug counselor. But he was friends with like Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he said, see, for him, like when he's doing music, he said it just comes to him. But he said he's friends with Red Hot Chili Peppers and Anthony Kiedis. He said he would have all these like notebooks and like he would like have to piece it together, and it was really more of like like he did a lot of work basically to create lyrics, whereas for some people, it just comes to them.
Yeah, it's both for me for sure. Like I've got a note in my phone that's just like all random lyric ideas. And most of them will have like some kind of melody to them that I can just like remember by like looking at the lyric. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's another little idea or whatever. But then also sometimes whenever I'm writing a song, I won't pull from that bank, and I'll like create a whole separate bank of all these lyric ideas for like one song. And so sometimes it is like piecing things together, like, oh, well, this line kind of works here, and this one kind of works here. How do I connect that? How do I make this like a clear, concise story from beginning to end? So sometimes it is a little bit of like filling in the holes
Hmm.
and piecing it together. Other times it kind of just flows out and it's natural. So I don't know. I guess
Yeah,
it just depends.
like the song Impatient, you talk about like something about there's a line like never traveled to the Northern Lights. Like, is that something that you've just wanted to do and then it just kind of came to you as a lyric?
Yeah, that's something I've always wanted to go see. And that line was just kind of talking about I'm not going to go do it without you, without my significant other, without my boyfriend. But just kind of like holding off on those experiences that you really want to have in your life, but like wanting to experience them with your special person too.
Yeah. And then the song Stranger, great singing on that, great guitar work. But also you mentioned that the songs came in with just a basic drum loop. But I thought the drums were on that on Stranger were really good. Who is the drummer
Oh,
on that track?
yeah, Jordan Cannata. He's from Slaughter, and he slaughtered the drums. Like every single song on this record, he obliterated in the best way. Just amazing. Like actually, have you been able to listen to any of the tracks besides the singles that have come out?
No, I looked and I think they only
Okay.
sent me the two and I didn't realize
Okay.
like, oh, it's not the full album isn't out yet.
Right. Okay. It comes out on October 25th. But anyway, there's a song on the album called Ring Me Around, and I never heard any of Jordan's final drum tracks until I was going into the studio to record my final vocals. And literally like the song that I had written to was a completely different feel than the one that he recorded. And he hadn't heard my lyrics or my melodies whenever he wrote his drum parts. So, like, anyway, somehow, like, we all had these different ideas that ended up just piecing together, like, perfectly and creating this really cool song that I was not expecting. So, yeah, anyway, Jordan did amazing work on this album and threw me for a loop on numerous occasions in a very good way.
Interesting. So the drums, I mean, that can be part of the songwriting. Because I know with Metallica, a lot of the songs are written by James and Lars, and I don't know. I'd be curious to have them on the podcast because I'm just curious like how they write with drums, like how so that sometimes that does play a part in the actual song and the melody of the song and the rhythm. I guess so you would start with the drums or change things through the drums.
Yeah, like if I had heard Jordan's drums on this track, Ring Me Around, before I had written my lyrics and melodies, I absolutely would have done something different. Because it just like kind of swings in a very odd but like cool way. Nothing that I would ever anticipate or expect. So yeah, drums can be a pretty big part of songwriting, and uh, it just happened to work out really well in this one instance that it was kind of crazy
That's
and
cool. Yeah,
not what I was thinking.
I didn't know Slaughter had a different drummer because I know they used to have Zoltan Chaney, who I loved. I thought he was one of my favorite drummers just from like watching him, like he's such a performer. Like he would do all these like crazy stunts and like jump off his drum stool. Have you ever seen him?
No, I haven't, but that's funny because Jordan does a lot of the same stuff.
Oh, okay.
A
He
very
probably
wild,
learned.
like charismatic drummer. Yeah, very much
Yeah.
an entertainer.
Okay. Yeah, that's very. I like those kind of drummers. I mean, I like all kinds of musicians, guitars, singing, but you know, like when you can do things that stand out, especially as a drummer, you're not just doing the same old playing the beat. You're actually like doing something that stands out. Like drum. I love drum solos. I had a drummer on. I think it was David Lee Roth's drummer, and he goes, "Ooh, I don't like doing drum solos." Like, really? How do you not love doing a drum solo if you're a drummer?
Yeah, for real. Like that's your one opportunity to go crazy. Isn't that like what every drummer wants to do?
Yeah, I guess some don't. They just want to kind of hang out in the background and just play the beat.
Wow. Well, I mean, I don't get that, but all right. I'm not a drummer.
Yeah, that's why you're the singer. You get to be in the front, and yeah,
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah. These solos too. I mean, George's solos, like it's crazy that he can. It's almost like he sounds like he got better. You know what I mean? Like he's always amazed me, but God, when I listen to these solos, I'm like, he really is an amazing guitar player. Because people like I've had him on my show, and like you know, I've interviewed Don Dokken and people, so people will talk about him and rave how great he is, and I don't think I really appreciated it until I, you know, started listening to these songs. I was like, God, yeah, he really is amazing.
Yeah, it's super inspiring too because like I mean, I was thinking the same thing and I showed the tracks to my dad and he said the same thing like this is just like I mean it's George Lynch to a T but it's fresh. Like this guy
Mm-hmm.
has not stopped advancing and getting better.
Yeah.
And that makes me just like super inspired, you know, in every aspect of being a musician, just like to continue getting better and, you know, striving to do something that I haven't done before, you know, like somehow George is still cranking out awesome, unique, you know, guitar solos and riffs and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
gives me some
I
hope.
I think that's the path of a lot of musicians is that they do get better with time. It's just the problem is like the music business, or at least the way it used to be, it was like you had this window and then it was like, okay, that band is too old now. They're not cool. And then it was like they wouldn't give people a chance to listen to their newest music. Like Warrant's a perfect example. Like a lot of the stuff that they did that, you know, in the 90s that when Warrant wasn't, you know, fashionable or whatever. Like I love that stuff. So I think it was like Janie Lane wrote some of his best songs after the band's peak of popularity.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. But, you know, with the development of a band, I feel like if you just keep being together after all those years, you're just going to keep growing together. I mean, sometimes people don't like the band's later albums and they should just play the old stuff. But, you know, like, I think the goal is to just always be getting better. And, like, you know, it's just a competition with yourself, just trying to outdo yourself every day, I guess. At least that's how I look at it.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. And I mean, and you guys are still growing as a band. And so like when you open for like a Warrant and an Alita Ford and that kind of stuff, or like this tour with Tantric and stuff, I'm assuming that you're building a fan base. Like you're building up new fan, exposing the band to people who had never seen it before.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why it's so important to get out there and tour. I mean, it's
Yeah.
difficult. Like you were saying, it's like financially sometimes it makes no sense to go on tour. But then you go out there and you get in front of these people that may have never heard of you or seen you before, and now they're fans for life. So for me, there's a huge value that goes into that. And that's why it's all worth it for me.
I agree. I think even if like you break even on a tour, or even if maybe you lose a little bit, I think in
Mhm.
the long run, if you're trying to build a brand and build fans, you kind of have to do that for a little bit. I mean, it's like a lot of businesses. What do they say? Like most businesses lose money in the first 5 years or whatever. It's like you've
Right.
got to build up the brand, build up. I think Amazon, which is a perfect example. I remember like watching an interview years ago with Bezos, and he was saying how much money they were losing because it was more important for them to get customers to make a profit. And of course now, I mean, they're making a huge profit. So I think that's kind of the way you've got to build a brand up and build fans, which you're obviously doing with the touring. And then also the other part, I think, is social media, right?
Right, exactly. Interacting with people, responding to comments. Like you wouldn't even realize how far that goes just to say thank you, you know? And then you're acknowledging someone and they feel special and now they have a connection with you and maybe they come back for some more connection later. Or maybe they listen to your song because they're like, "Wow, that was really cool." So yeah, little droplets at a time.
Yeah. And then what about, and also getting on radio, and I feel like even bigger than radio is the playlist. Do you have a strategy for doing that? Or is that just like if people like it, they put it on the playlist?
We have used like through our management or through Legend Recordings, they have like done promotions to try and get us on playlists and stuff. I'm not really sure how all those inner workings, like how that works, but I know that we have gotten on a few pretty large playlists and gotten like I don't even know, a few 100,000 streams on some songs by being added to these playlists. So there's something to it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that is a huge thing, is that the playlist, because I feel like if the playlist has a bunch of followers, then people will just listen to it and you'll get the streams, whether they become a fan or not, you still get the streams, right? But I mean, I think
Right.
you do end up getting a lot of new people discovering your band and following you.
Yeah, yeah. I have had a lot of people say, like, I was listening to, my Pretty Reckless playlist or in this moment, like you guys popped up and I couldn't believe it. And, so that's like really cool that we would even become like, a suggested artist for people. Like, that's just weird to think about.
Right. No, I mean I do, because I see that you're building it up, the followers on Spotify too. And do you follow like the new music? Because I know you're a big Miles Kennedy fan. I think he just released a new album.
Yeah, I've listened to Miles' new album. I think it's really cool that he decided to do his own rock album. Because normally his stuff is kind of like more on the folky side of things. So it was cool hearing him go a little bit harder. I've also really enjoyed listening to Dino Jalusic's new projects. Just his Jalusic band had a album release. I think it was earlier this year. And then Whom Gods Destroy. Anyway, he had a couple releases recently that were awesome. Honestly, though, I'm not like totally in the loop with new music. Like I I listen to artists as people recommend them to me, but I'm not like seeking it out typically.
Yeah. It is crazy. Like I heard of this guy Hardy, which I think they said was country, but then I listened and I was like, oh, this is actually more like rock. And then I saw he has like 5 million followers. I'm like, how have I never heard of this guy? And he was like, he had like I only heard 2 songs, but they were really good, like really well written. And I was like, it's crazy how there's so many bands out now. There's so much good music. I think there's a lot of good music. I know people say there's nothing good. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there, personally.
Yes. Yes, there is a ton of good music. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, unknown really good music that's out right now, a band called the Many Colored Death out of Columbia, Missouri. They are just a three-piece and it's like very prog, like kind of King's X inspired type metal slash rock, but amazing. Anyway, they just released an album like last month, and I mean, sadly to say, kind of unknown. Like some people in Missouri know about it, and we've taken them on tour with us once before. So they've got a little bit of fan base, but they need more.
That's cool. So that I'll have to check out all these recommendations. I love getting recommendations of bands, comedians, and TV shows and movies, all that stuff. I love all those things. So yeah, I'll have to check all that stuff out. That's great. And it's so see, that's what's so cool. I know artists hate Spotify and stuff, but I love it because I love discovering new music. And I just can't afford to buy like every CD back in the day. And now you can listen to anything. And then when you become a fan, I think you support the band by going to shows, buying merch, and all those things.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the big way to support.
Or have them on your
Streaming.
podcast if you have a podcast like me, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
it's great, like it's great to be able to be discovered on a platform like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those just necessary evils, but I don't see it as like, I need to get streams so that I can make a living. Like, I know that that's not the case. So,
Right.
like,
The streaming helps bring in the fans that'll buy a ticket and buy a t-shirt
yeah.
and all those. And then don't you guys also get you get some money for streams and some money for like YouTube and stuff? Because I mean that's how I get money off YouTube from my podcast. So I'm assuming that you guys probably get way more than I do, just for people who are going to listen to songs more than podcasts.
Maybe I just don't know about it.
Yeah. That's not the big piece of the pie there, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. But for sure, we just try to get people to come to live shows. That's where the magic happens anyways. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I want to see you guys live. It sounds like it would be a really fun show, especially. And then you got the couple other bands, Scotty Austin and Tantric. I don't think I've seen either one of them either, so that would be
Oh
fun.
my gosh. Scotty Austin is a hoot. He is
Really?
like, I mean, literally the definition of an entertainer. He is
Oh.
so funny and he's a great performer. He's got a great voice. I mean, the music is there, but like he's really fun. And Tantric, we've toured with them multiple times. They're just solid musicians and they've got great songs. Like they've got such a huge catalog of great music. So yeah,
didn't John Karabi's son play drums for them? I don't think he does anymore, but
he did for a short time. Yeah, Ian. I think he's playing with Rehab now.
Oh.
Or maybe he left them recently. He was playing with Rehab for a little while.
Yeah. It's cool that, there's so many opportunities out there for all these other musicians and again, I think that's what's so great about music now is it's not like, oh, you have to be on this record label and then if you're not on a record label, you're shit. It's like everybody can just, anybody can start a band, which I guess is good and bad, but you can grow it. And there's just so many projects, so many concerts. Like every weekend, I'm like, I have to choose who do I want to go see? Because there's so many concerts going on.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love it.
Yeah.
Always something going on.
Are you guys, you're not going to tour with the George Lynch project, the Cassandra's Crossing, are you?
No, that's not in the plans. I wish that it was. And if I can twist George's arm hard enough, maybe we will.
Or would you do like a one-off, like if you guys were both playing a festival or something, just do a few songs?
Right. So Paralandra will be opening for Lynch Mob once in November later this year, and then we're doing a handful of dates between January and March with them as well. So I'm hoping that at some point during some of these dates, like we could at least work up a song. Like yeah, I feel like it would be easy enough, but we'll see. Fingers crossed.
And then do you still have, is the Life project, is that still active? The one with Stone Sour guitarist Josh Rand?
Yeah, actually, I leave Sunday to go up to Des Moines to record 3 more tracks for our next album. So yes, very much still active. We're probably looking at 2025 before we release anything, but yeah, stuff's going on behind the scenes.
Does that one do live shows as well, or is that only just recorded music?
The plan is to do live shows. And of course, we did a tour with like Alice in Chains and Breaking Benjamin and Bush back in 2022. So like our whole intention was always to be a live band, but Josh had back surgery that he had to get that was pretty extensive. And so between then and now, he's just been recovering and getting back into the swing of things. Being able to play guitar was something that took a while to even get to. So it's been kind of baby steps. But we're finally at the point where we're able to be like back in the studio. Josh has recorded all of his guitar tracks at this point. And yeah, hoping to get back on stage, you know, sometime relatively soon. Wow, I cannot
Wow.
talk.
Well, you're so busy. That's awesome. Well, yeah, just stay busy and keep doing what you're doing. I'll try to come see that Paralandra show in November here. That would be fun. Otherwise, Life Project or so you're one of the, if you start a fourth band, maybe I'll go see that. So.
Oh my gosh. If I start a fourth band, I will be dead, but I'll see you there.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for doing this. Anything else to promote?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like we hit everything. Paralandra's on the road and Cassandra Crossing album out on October 25th. Like,
Yep. Perfect.
yeah.
I'll put
More
the
Life
website
Project
in
on the way.
yeah, I'll put the website in the show notes and people can follow you guys on social media, of course.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for coming back. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.